What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. And I'm saying in today's video, we're going to be reacting to the Golden State Warriors young core is actually not. Is it not fair? I don't care, but it's not fair unfair. You know what I'm saying? They have my favorite player in the NBA after the veteran, after like Curry, LeBron. After them, Jordan Pole. You know what I'm saying? Pole. Then they got Kuminga. That boy's gonna be, oh my, hey, I'm telling you, they got Moody, they got Wiseman, they just need one more. They need one more, you know what I'm saying? And they'll be good. But hey, without further ado, yeah, check out the original video, the link in the description below. And without further ado, let's get straight into this video. 3, 2, 1.
The Golden State Warriors have had a crazy few seasons. It was just 3 years ago that they were playing in the NBA
Only one of
Finals,
their
their
phones
fifth
are
finals
working.
appearance in a row. Then the next season, they sat with
By
the
the way,
worst record in the NBA.
I didn't jump on the Golden State Warrior bandwagon, okay? I started putting them in 2016. That's 1 year after Curry won his first championship.
Most of their foundational pieces back.
But I didn't know he won a
That's
championship.
getting overlooked is one of the craziest players we've ever seen.
I swear I didn't know he won a
If you guys like
championship.
the content,
I just stopped supporting them because my friend like Russell Westbrook,
likes on today's video,
and
let's
Russell
begin.
Westbrook didn't like Curry. And then I was watching them and I like
Today's
Curry
video
more than
is
Westbrook.
sponsored by PrizePicks. It's a super simple player prop site, legal in most
Skip this
places.
part in the video. It's
They
an
have
ad. Skip
tons
it.
of lines for different players. You just choose over or under for up to 10 times your entry. And today, I'm putting $100 on the line. I'm feeling very confident. We're going to mix some props for tonight's NBA games.
Yeah,
as
let's
well
skip
as
this part,
some
guys.
for the
I'm
final
sorry, I
four
can't
matches
skip
on
it.
Saturday.
Soon I'll be able to
I'm
skip
going to
this
be
ad,
taking
man,
Colin
'cause-
Gillespie's over on points. If Villanova is going to take down Kansas, it's going to be
You know what
on
I'm
the
saying?
back of
You
their
don't know my love
starters.
Jordan
Then I'm
Pole
taking Mark
already,
Williams
you know
of
what I'm saying?
Duke's
That's
over on
Pole
points. It's
there.
only a 12.5, and the lowest he's had in the tournament is 12. This one's easy. Then I'm taking the over on points, rebounds, assists for Jordan Poole, as it just feels fitting for this video. Then lastly,
Yes,
I'm adding
sir,
something that I've never
Poole.
done, and that's a double-double for DeAndre Ayton. It's really going to come down to his rebounds, and that line's at 10.5, so I like my chances. If this hits, my $100 will become 1,000. If you guys want to try out PrizePicks, go to the link in the description or use code Trevor. They're going to give you a deposit match up to $100.
Forgot the
Thank
one.
you,
I'm
PrizePicks,
using my
for
actual
sponsoring today's
phone to
video.
record. You know what I'm saying?
Now, the
Let's
Warriors
see, I'm using my
by
phone.
itself would
We're
still
back.
be
We're
super
back.
impressive, but it wouldn't be as crazy if it wasn't for the roster that surrounds them and the fact that they're in such
Yes,
a prime
sir.
position to really compete for a title. How crazy is it?
62.
That they still have a two-time MVP in Steph Curry on their roster that was drafted in 2009. One of the greatest three-point shooting wings to ever grace the NBA court in Klay Thompson.
Not one of. He
Former
is.
Defensive Player of
Not
the
one
Year,
of, he
Draymond
is.
Green. A former #1 overall pick that just became an all-star starter in Andrew Wiggins, and none of these players have anything to do with the young core that we're going to talk about today. This is actually mind-blowing and truly might be one of the only times we've seen something like this in NBA history. Most elite young cores are built through a series of high draft selections from living at the bottom of the NBA. That is far from the case with the Warriors. As you're going to see, the Warriors have built this group using just
I love
one
Pole,
top
I'm
5
sorry.
selection. So we really need to give our props to Bob Myers and what this front office has done. Let's start it off with their most recent young additions and work our way up to the more interesting pieces. The Warriors didn't have a
Draymond's
great
a
season,
menace.
missing Clay for a whole year and Draymond for most of it.
2 years.
Now Curry
2
put the
years.
team on his back and they were able to make the play-in, but they fell short, leaving them with the 14th pick in the draft. But that wasn't the only selection they had. They also held the 7th overall pick from the D'Angelo Russell trade from the previous year's deadline. They gave up Russell and in return got Andrew Wiggins as well as a first-round pick, which ended up being at 7. On draft night, we knew Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Suggs were not going to be on the board at 7. It really came down to what the Thunder would do at 6. It seemed like Jonathan Kuminga was a favorite, but ultimately, they went with Josh Giddey, a player that probably wasn't at the top of the Warriors board, so the Warriors jumped on the opportunity and grabbed Kuminga. If you guys weren't familiar with Kuminga's journey to the NBA, he was a super highly touted prospect coming out of high school. In fact, he was the #1 player in his class before he ended up reclassifying to the grade ahead, where he would finish high school as the 3rd overall player in the country. Scouts were in awe. He was a
Damn.
freak athlete in an
Was
NBA
that
ready
good?
frame, sitting at 6'7" with a near 7-foot wingspan. All the physical tools were there, but that wasn't enough to be
And
as
it's
highly
vertical.
recruited as he was. He showed off some serious skill, while not refined, impressive. In one of the biggest games of his high school career, during a Nike EYBL game against the #1 player in the country in Cade Cunningham, he would go off for 43 points, but more impressively, shoot 7 for 11 from 3. He decided to forego college in favor of the G League, and to no surprise, win of the year projected to be a top selection in the draft.
Yo,
The
this
consensus
boy,
at the time
hey,
was that Cade was going to be #1,
Kuminga.
and that Kuminga and Green would be battling it out for that #2 spot. Now that didn't end up being the case. Jalen Green was a part of Kuminga's G League team. He dominated, making him the clear second overall pick when it was all said and done. That was far from the case for Kuminga. He averaged 16 points and 7 rebounds, but shot just 39% from the field and 27% from 3.
Look at him now.
Following that, he definitely wasn't looked at the same way. It was clear the upside was too high for him to fall outside the lottery, but it was also clear he came with a lot more risk. It really felt like whoever took that risk was either getting Josh Jackson or Jaylen Brown, really no in between. Well, on the clock at 7, given the Warriors situation and the fact that Kuminga probably had the most value after the selection, if they ended up getting the right trade opportunity, they took him. To start things off, we really didn't get a chance to see him much. For the first 25 or so games, he really didn't have a role. Most of his minutes came late in games, and he even spent some time in the G League. But then in the middle of the year, Draymond Green would suffer an injury that sidelined him for a while. This created an unexpected opportunity for Kuminga, and man,
yes sir, look at him, bro.
In the last 35 games, he's averaged 13 points and 5 rebounds. Now that doesn't seem crazy, but considering just how good the tape has been and the fact that he wasn't stepping into a role that received much touches anyway, it's been super impressive. His size and athleticism make a difference maker almost everywhere on the court. What I think has easily been the most exciting part of his game is his versatility really on both ends.
Hey, show the LeBron one.
3 positions.
Show the LeBron one. Don't do that. Show the LeBron one.
At the center position, and it's not like it's been perfect. I don't think he's going to
show the LeBron. There we go. That's Russ.
That's Russ. The tools
are
there,
LeBron
but he makes mistakes and can get lost. It kind of feels like right now, both him and the Warriors are trying to figure out the player he's going to be going forward. But I think you've got to be excited.
Kuminga is too OP, man.
Playing around, learning in an established system alongside some of the best shooters of all time, and another player that shares a lot of strengths in Draymond Green. I truly think this could be a massive difference maker for his career. He's one of those guys that it's really hard to
get the maddest bounce, you know.
Class, as most of the players that were selected around him were given huge roles off the jump with massive shares in their team's offense. That clearly hasn't been the case with Kuminga, but he has still done more than enough to impress. I really think the public perception of him would be completely different if he was on, Houston, OKC, or Orlando. You get the point. The second of their lottery selections was Arkansas shooting guard Moses Moody. I was super high on him coming into the draft. This was a guy that was a 6'5" shooting guard with a 7-foot wingspan. In high school, playing alongside the likes of Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes at Montverde. He really bought into the 3-and-D role. He then goes to Arkansas and manages to ramp up his volume with no problem. I really thought, considering where he was projected to go in the draft, he was probably the best balance of risk versus reward. Now, like Kuminga, Moody hasn't had a very big role so far, but unlike Kuminga, he hasn't been able to hold on to any consistent minutes as the season has gone on, but I really like what we've seen from him when the role has been there.
Nah, Moody's out there. Moody's out there, man.
Shooting 6 for 10 from 3. He dropped 30 against Denver a few weeks ago, shooting 5 for 12 from 3. And just recently, scored 18 points, shooting 3 for 7 from 3. Again, it's tough to find
my team is too OP, bro. I need to start going to Warriors game, but I live too far, man. I ain't going there. Crazy.
That he looks good. It's really only a matter of
watch on some legal sites.
3-and-D wing with this team with the upside to really become a foundational piece of this team.
Gary Payton, is that a G League commit? Is that G? No, that's not G League.
And I really don't think there was a better selection at 14 that they would have realistically taken. Now let's go a little bit further back to last year's draft. The Warriors, as we said, were briefly the worst team in basketball, at least according to their record. In the lottery,
don't validate my team. I'm banging your face. Don't validate my team like that.
They slotted in at 2. It was pretty unclear, even on draft night, who they were going to go with. It looked like Edwards was going to be going number 1. That ended up happening. While Wiseman was the clear favorite, it did feel like LaMelo Ball was an option, which is crazy to think about. On draft night, we even saw him holding up the number 2 to the camera. It really felt like he was suggesting he had some reliable intel that the Warriors would be taking him. That did not happen. They went with James Wiseman. Wiseman was a 7-foot center that was a top player in high school, ended up going to Memphis.
Bro, so we could have, I don't even know. I was going to say we could have LaMelo Ball, yeah, but I don't think LaMelo would want to play a number 2 role. Nah, that wouldn't happen.
Most top college players are going to have some juice non-conference stats early on in the year, but nonetheless, it's hard to argue with 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks a game, shooting 77% from the field. Considering the Warriors roster at the time, and the fact that Wiseman was the clear top big in this class, and it appeared there was no chance he was making it past 3, this seemed like a very solid selection. All things considered, though, I wouldn't say he lived up to the expectations as a rookie.
Yeah, he's injured still,
there,
man.
No question about it. But he really
show me the last guy,
which cost him to be thrusted in and out of the starting lineup.
Bro, get him off the screen, bro. He's not even playing. I've never seen him play a game in my life.
At the time, a lot of people looked at him as a can't-miss big prospect that was going to come in and give you 18 and 10 off the jump. He averaged 11 and 6, not giving us too much to get excited about at the time. He ended up going down with injury that caused him to miss the end of the season and eventually this whole entire year. But even after
exactly,
that
he's not playing. He was back. He went to Chile. He was playing. And he got a swollen knee again.
The skills he
Bro,
has
that's
in a
moving
frame like
crazy.
that, you rarely
Mentally can
see.
shoot threes
And
as well.
seeing the
You're
progress
crazy.
that a guy like DeAndre Ayton has had on the defensive end since his rookie season, there's a lot of hope that he's not just going to be a guy to talk about for their future, but a real difference maker in the present time.
I
Then
hope
lastly,
he is. I hope he
we've
is.
got their first round pick from 3 years ago, whose recent play really sparked me making this video. and that's
Poole.
Jordan Poole. Poole is far from a hyped up prospect. He spent 2 years at Michigan, averaging 6 points as a freshman and 13
Is that
in his second
LeBron?
year. But it was his shooting ability that had scouts impressed, and eventually was enough for the Warriors to grab him with the 28th pick. It's crazy seeing where he is today due to how rough the start of his career was. He averaged 9 points
Bro, that's
as a rookie,
Pole, bro. Don't
shooting an
ever violate
atrocious
Pole again about
33%
rough.
from the field
Don't.
in 28%.
Bro, he's shooting 100%.
Then
I've never
last
seen him miss a
year,
shot in my
We
life.
saw him
Don't
take
lie.
a solid jump. He went to 13 points on okay efficiency. Obviously pretty good, but most people weren't jumping up and down, especially
Last game he got
as
double
it looked
double,
like the
19
sum
points and
opportunities
11
wouldn't be
and
available
11 assists or
once
12
Klay
assists. I
Thompson
don't know.
returned.
One of them.
The Warriors came into the year projected to be a serious threat, but that really had nothing to do with Poole. Then the preseason happened, and out of nowhere, Jordan Poole looked like a completely different player. He looked
Exactly,
sharp. He was
because
creating
everyone
his
was
own
calling him
shot,
Poole.
and the hype
And as soon as I
is
say
starting
Pole,
to fly in.
it's his real
Now,
name.
we've seen a
He's
lot of players
not
go off in
it's
the
cooking.
preseason, but then slow down once the
Baby
regular season
splash.
actually begins. So
No
everyone was
splash.
holding their breath, but man, did he live up to the hype. He stepped up huge to start the season before the return of Klay, playing a massive role in the Warriors being able to be the top seed. at the beginning of the year. He
Pole,
went through a little bit
Stephen
of a
Clay,
lull
the
during
light
middle of the
skinned
season, but
splashy
lately,
brothers.
with the team dealing with injuries, most notably Stephen Curry, Jordan Poole has legitimately looked.
What?
like
Stephen
he is the
Curry?
chance
Don't
to
ever
be a
disrespect
star in
Curry
this
again.
league.
I'll fight you.
In the last 14 games, he's averaging 26 points, 5 assists and 4 rebounds, shooting 50% from the field and 45% from 3.
About
on
Stephen
nearly
Curry.
10
Stephen Curry's the
attempts
best
per
player
game.
NBA has ever
Seeing
seen.
what he's shown as a starter, what he has shown as a six-man, and now what he is showing arguably as the top option during this run, there is no doubt in my mind this kid is absolutely legit, and he's in just his
22 years old, you know.
league. So this is hard to wrap my brain around. Right now they've got Curry, Klay, Draymond, and Wiggins all locked up for at least one more season. One of the best cores in the entire league, but there's other teams with comparable ones. There's no other team in the league that's got a core like that while having a young group like this team has. It's one thing to have a
Bro,
bunch
they
of
can
solid
start a
guys.
second
We see
group
people all the time
with
overhyping young
Draymond.
cores like that. That's not the case. They've got a rising star at the guard position in Poole. They've got
Look at
Jonathan
that.
Kuminga
That's a
that
Curry
will be redrafted
2.0.
tomorrow,
Not even. I'm
which
sorry, not
probably
even
will
Curry.
inside
That's
the
a
top
Pole.
5 with how much potential he truly has.
Pole.
They've got
Where
the
you going,
second overall
Jordan?
pick from a year ago,
You look-
Wiseman,
you
and a
look
player
crazy,
in the league that I
Jordan.
at least expect to be an amazing 3-and-D wing, but I've got higher expectations. This is absolutely mind-blowing, and I can't believe a team actually pulled this off. Now, the front office can't take all the credit. Having Curry, Klay, and Draymond all deal with injuries in a 2-year time frame, as well as managing to get back D'Angelo Russell when Kevin Durant decided to go to Brooklyn, are all huge factors in the position
Bro, I
they're
want to
in.
be
But that
Curry
doesn't
so
change the
badly, bro.
fact that
So
this is
inspira-
awesome to
Flight
witness.
taught me a lot. Flight
But
taught
that's
me
it
was
for you guys.
so.
You guys give
He's
me your
gonna
thoughts in
dunk.
the comments
Oh.
below. If you like the video, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. And I'll
So
catch you guys next
inspirational.
time.
So inspirational.
Peace.
Look at Chef Curry. Let him score the basket at least, man. But hey, that was the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed that, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and I'm saying, yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.